to Rupanuga Vedic College there with Danavir Maharaj Goswami.
Oh,
Oh, yes.
That's how I became introduced to the movement.
oh, Danavir, he came to Sacramento, but he was suffering from Parkinson's disease or something like that, right?
Yeah,
Or
he
Yeah,
something.
was
so far.
his health deteriorated severely because of his austere diet. He
Yes.
was he was only taking because I would when I was go home from work, I'd be home for like 2 months, so I was at the temple every day,
Ah,
and he would
ah,
just take like steamed spinach and like steamed potatoes. That's it.
ah.
I mean, I don't think one can survive like for a very
That's,
long time
that's
on
not a
that.
good combination, particularly the potatoes are not good nutrition. Corn, the potatoes, and tomatoes are should be avoided like crazy.
Hmm.
And the tomatoes, for what reason?
They have a well. It depends on who you listen to, but I have some question of uh, joint pain, and tomatoes cause that, and but so do potatoes and okra and eggplant stuff like that. But
Okay.
I then if you listen to Dr. Stephen Gundry, who's on if you listen to any channels that are news channels and stuff like that, he says there's a lot of elements in the tomatoes and potatoes and whatnot and white and crust, the crusty stuff in whole wheat bread that causes uh, leaky gut syndrome,
Oh,
which
okay.
which ends up being obesity, weakness, pain, and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Yeah, you're got no more digestion power, pretty much.
Well, you know, Danavir Maharaj was my very good friend in Los Angeles in 1973
Yeah.
Hmm.
and four and five, and he actually was working for me. He was my helper
Wow.
in
Yeah.
the running the spiritual programs at New Dwarka,
Hmm.
and he was very nice, a little simple-minded, but nice. But then he came out and was trying to write a correction to Tamal Krishna's work at Oxford to try to discredit the Vedic conception of astronomy. So he wrote a book on the fifth canto describing the Vedic concept of astronomy, which I did very much appreciated.
Yeah, the Vedic cosmology book. Yeah.
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 So I had nothing but good feelings. I also introduced him to my Ayurvedic doctor in India, and he certainly must have the wherewithal to fly there and stay there for a bit. But my Ayurvedic doctor treated me for very severe symptoms of Parkinson's in 1986.
Oh, wow.
And after about 3 years, I was completely cured.
I believe it. I
But
believe it.
I was a fanatically following the doctor's orders.
Hmm.
So I've had my share of little adventures.
Nice.
Hmm.
Thank you for sharing.
But I became very good friends with Dr. Paneri, who is the Ayurvedic doctor, Rajasthani doctor living in Jaipur, not in Jaipur, in Gujarat. In so
How, Prabhu, how did you get our contact information? Did you see it on Facebook Live or YouTube or where?
I've been watching you on YouTube, and then like since the Zoom meeting started, I just
Huh.
followed your channel because of all the content, all the
Okay.
audiobooks. Yeah, because
Oh,
I like to. I usually read the books with the audiobook on a lot of the time,
acha, acha.
and I kind of find it like double. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
and or later on I'll be listening to the audio, and I feel like I'm reading the book, or like vice versa. When I read the book, it's like it's coming back like more.
So, I mean, our content that we're producing, it's kind of, I mean, you're being associated with ISKCON. What do you think about it? Our content is right on the edge, right on the
Oh yeah,
razor's edge.
no, it's definitely on the edge. It's a very sensitive topic.
Right.
Um, a lot of people probably may be offended or not willing to understand or be open-minded enough to uh, encompass what you guys are talking about. And
Right.
it took me a minute to really step back
Hmm.
and just and and think about this. Like,
Hmm.
is is every single person in Uttama Adhikari? And this question is a very interesting one. No disrespect to any Vaishnav, no aparad by any means. If one is supposed to inquire from their spiritual master and test them, is it an offense to ask someone, "Are you an Uttama Adhikari?" And then
Hmm.
next question is what would be the response? Would it be the truth?
Wow. What do you think about that, Narayan Prabhu?
The only
Did you-
Uttama Adhikari I've ever encountered was Srila Prabhupada. But
Hmm.
I have read about many Uttamadhikaris, like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Gaurkishore Das Babaji, Thakur Bhaktivinoda, as well as all of the associates of Lord Chaitanya who were here with him 500 years ago.
Hmm. Hmm.
So it's for me, it's not difficult to
Hmm. Hmm.
distinguish whether or not a person is an Uttamadhikari
No.
because I saw Prabhupada.
Right.
And no matter how much a person sits on a red chair, which I originally designed for Prabhupada, I might add,
Huh.
that no matter how much a person sits on a red chair and points his finger in the air, that doesn't mean that his words are purely transcendental from the causative point of view of delivering the fallen soul to the back to home, back to Godhead. And if you cannot deliver someone back to home, back to Godhead, then what sort of guru are you?
Right.
I
That's a
mean,
very wonderful.
what do you, yeah, what are you
But
doing?
no, Prabhu, I was saying though, what to be said of actually asking a sannyasi, "Are you an Uttama Adhikari?" Is this aparad, first of all? And second of all, what is one to expect of the answer?
Well, why would you do it?
I mean, that's a good question too. This is just something that's kind of come up while I've
No,
been associated with your
I get
talks.
your idea. I know what your idea is very good. It's very basic. It's very
Yeah.
primal, even if I could say so.
No,
In
this is
that
where I wanted
you
to
say
take
to
it.
a sannyasi, you're being hailed and regarded, and you have disciples, maybe, and are you an Uttamadhikari? But the point is that if you have to ask him, then it indicates, of course, that he's not.
Right.
Hmm.
I think you answered. I mean, it was semi-rhetorical, my hypothesis, but yeah.
Yeah, it would be rhetorical. My goal in life is transparency, nothing rhetorical at all.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
don't need to. I'm not a person who thinks because I'm not a body that lives. I am the soul that inhabits the body. And insofar as I can maintain the distinction between me, Sat, the Jiva, and the body, which is Asat, as well as everybody else's bodies, everybody else's activity, everybody else's food, everybody else's pastimes, everybody else's reproductive practices. I mean, why human? Why deal with that as though it were something that belongs to the human when the human's reproductive activity is simply mammalian, as though they were a small rat or mouse? There's 8,400,000 species. 400,000 of them are human or humanoid, according to Prabhupada. So in
Right.
these species, how many of them are interested in reproducing? Well, let's get straight. All of them.
Hmm.
Doesn't matter. Ants, bees, germs, microbes, parasites, insects, bears, dogs, cats, rats, They're all on the same platform in terms of interest in their body,
Right.
as we are.
Yeah.
We are on that interested level because that's how we are constructed mechanically. We're made out of earth, fire, water, air, mind, ego, intelligence, and ego. Let's say earth, fire, water, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and ego. We're made out of those elements, as are all the creatures that have jivas. In other words, if you see a plant and it's growing, it's not dead, you can assume there's a jiva there.
Yeah.
Inside of that creeper, lawn grass, tree, whatever. You can assume there's a jiva and that the jiva is doing exactly what everyone else is: eating, sleeping, mating, and defending.
Mm-hmm.
They are. So when we're getting now towards the topic of a sannyasi, is he an uttama adhikari? First, we have to understand what does it take to be an uttama adhikari? Sri Ramachandra Singh ji is very kindly has been reading to us from the 5th verse of the Upadeshamrita, otherwise known as the Nectar of Instruction, and describing 3 levels: Kanistha, Madhyam, Uttamadhikari.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, very important to take initiation from the Uttamadhikari. Well, then he says, in the next part of the same response, he says, there is, however, the Kanistha Adhikari and the Madhyam Adhikari can also accept disciples. So all of the ISKCON members are just drooling to hear that, because, oh, good, I can now accept disciples. But then he goes on to say something that nobody likes to read in ISKCON or anywhere else. But the disciple will be on the same level as he is, and the disciple will not make much advancement under his insufficient guidance.
Right.
So where is the question of a sannyasi being an uttamadhikari if he is not giving sufficient guidance? If he's giving if he's not, the whole process of Kanistha, Madhyam, and Uttamadhikari is not just 3 magical flicks of the wrist or the finger, or snap of the finger, snapping your fingers. The Kanistha Adhikari is socially minded, yet he knows that he is the soul and that he has a body. He knows it, but does he believe it? Well, if he really believes it, why is the Kanistha Adhikari obliged to follow the 4 regulative principles? If the Kanistha Adhikari really realized that he is spirit soul, then he wouldn't need to bother talking about 4 regulative principles. He'd be following them because he'd have no reason not to.
Right, because he's not the body.
Exactly. But he is the body in terms of being a Kanistha Adhikari. He is a body, but he knows he is the soul within the body. In other words, he's a typical member of ISKCON.
This is theoretical.
What is?
No, I'm saying I'm spirit soul. I'm not the body on a theoretical level, not on a practical knowledge level. That's what you're differentiating, correct?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Brilliant distinction, sir. Yes, the whole problem of the distinction is anyone can read the Nectar of Instruction, read that passage, and then go about his life eating, sleeping, mating, and defending as usual. Mm. Why not? All he has to do is pay a few rupees for the book and read it. Read it. Okay, I read it. Okay, yeah, there you go. What do you think? Oh, it's very interesting. Oh, is there any part that stuck out for you? Well, yeah, there's tomorrow. I don't know what it means, but I liked it, so he can say like that. But to actually distinguish between the three adhikaris is, practically speaking, impossible for anyone except a self-realized soul.
Mhm.
Why? Because everyone is a Madhyamadikari that you're going to bump into if they're in ISKCON.
Majam or Kanishta?
Didn't I say Kanista? Did I say Madhyam?
Yeah,
You said Madhyam.
Oh, my tongue, please, somebody cut my
I
tongue
didn't.
off,
I didn't know if I missed a couple episodes.
No, I missed the entire thing.
Just kidding, probably.
I am fool number one. No, Kanista Adhikari is distinguished, Prabhupada describes. Now, do you know these distinctions well, or am I preaching
Yes,
to the
yeah.
choir?
Yeah, I've got
Oh,
nectar devotion. It's right there, or instruction. Sorry.
oh well, then tell me the difference. Is
Well, I mean, my understanding, no, is not that. Well, Kanishta Adhikari is my knowledge to this present moment would be theoretical knowledge. I'm not the body. I've read this. This is how things are operating, but I haven't realized this. Is that correct?
up to a point, because you can realize all sorts of stuff as a Kanista Adhikari. You can actually believe that you are a spirit soul. You follow the regulated principles, you chant 16 rounds, you go to the temple. I mean, what's the bad part?
Right.
Now, do you say you're a Kanista Adhikari? Well, most ISKCON members would say, oh, it took me 3 weeks to get to that stage. Of course, all the beginners that join the movement, they're Kanista Adhikaris, but after you take your Brahmin initiation, you jolly well better be well beyond that. But that's not true. Kanista Adhikari, as you put it, is a matter of realization. And what do you realize as Kanista Adhikari? Aham Brahmasmi. I am spirit soul. How many ISKCON devotees, if you ask them, do you have a soul? By the way, let me ask you, do you have a soul? Prabhu.
Yeah. I am the soul.
Yeah.
I don't
But
have a soul.
Yes, that's very good. And
I have a body. The body is very dear to the soul.
Well, not necessarily. It's just very dear to the mind.
Well, right.
The soul is completely bewildered. The mind is sexy and has seduced the soul into thinking that the body is the self, and the mind goes along with it because the mind is too conditioned. Not the mind, but the jiva is too conditioned to be able to resist the seductive language of the mind, who is trying to convince the jiva how much one is the body, or how dear the body is to me. But it's only dear to us. Why? Pus, blood, stool, so many nice things. Why is the body so dear to us? Because the mind has convinced us of that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Dr. Ronald, no,
yes,
Ramachandra, Sri Ramachandra Singh Ji, and I have gone through this in considerable detail as to how the mind is so saturated from conception with the body that the mind doesn't even notice or care much that when you're born, you keep changing radically as the cells divide in your body, and you keep growing more and more cells, both in the womb, where you start with just boom, 2, 4, 8, multiply them quintessentially. And then when you're born, you start growing like a maniac. In 1 year, you're big compared to when you were born. After 4 years, you're basically think of yourself as a completed adult. You think. The parent, of course, still has to keep you from running into traffic in the freeway. But you keep on going, and that keeps on going until early, 20s. Oh yeah, now I'm finally getting my chops. I'm doing okay now. I'm going to be somebody. And then you get to your 30s. Oh yeah, I became somebody. Now I'm a psychiatrist or a PhD in something or other. And then you keep going in your 40s. Yeah, I either am distinguished or I'm a nobody, one or the other, or both at the same time. And then you get old age. Nobody notices that the mind does not even begin to notice that such a dramatic land change has taken place between birth and 60 years old. He just accepts that's the way I am. That's the way I am. As you are when? Well, as of a year ago, 2 years ago. How about if every breath you take and you're thinking of yourself, you say, whatever you think about yourself, you could say accurately, that's the way I was, that's the way I was, with the freshest idea in your mind. Because as soon as you think it, you're beyond it and you're in somewhere else. And yet you can't realize that. You cannot understand it. We cannot, I don't mean you personally, but we cannot understand that. So the mind is deluding us by identifying with the body. When I say us, I mean we, the jivas. Mm-hmm. The mind identifies. And what does the mind identify? Oh, the shape of the body. If a woman's body, she is very concerned with her shape. And she'll stand in front of her mirror in various degrees of clothing or non-clothing, fascinated and trying to improve the quality of her shape. And the guy, he's going to be pumping iron with pumping his biceps, trying to say, boy, I may be 45, but I still have the biceps of a 20-year-old. He'll say that. But it's all in the past. Everything in the present is in the past because it's in the present such a short time that if once you say, I'm wearing a blue shirt, it's already way in the past. Mm-hmm. So with the Kanista Adhikari, he is trying to distinguish that he is the eternal servant of God. Just like if you want to find a bunch of Kanista Adhikaris, go to a ISKCON temple. It's full to the brim with Kanista Adhikaris. And what distinguishes them? Well, they follow the regulative principles. They chant Hare Krishna. That's what they're supposed to do. So how do you go from there to Madhyama Adhikari? You have to give up the sense that you and the body have anything in common whatsoever. Because I and my body do have nothing in common whatsoever. I am Sat, eternal. The body is Asat, temporary. So how can you do that? Well, the first thing is, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati put it delicately, even though he himself was the utmost virtuous man, he said, in the morning, beat your mind 50 times with a shoe. Yeah. And at night, beat your mind 50 times with a stick. Now, sticks hurt more than shoes. So why would you say shoes in the morning and sticks at night? What would you say, Prabhu?
Because you're going to go into illusion in the dream state?
That, and also it's nighttime is when you start thinking about whether or not your wife is in the mood.
Okay. I wasn't going down the dark path when I was thinking.
That is the dark path. The mind is, whatever our mind is doing is the dark path because it is 100% absorbed in the body.
Yeah.
I may say that I don't have a soul, I am the soul. I can say that. But what am I experiencing as I walk into the store, buy something, take it home, cook it, offer it, eat it? What am I experiencing? Am I not experiencing the needs of the body?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm still in the body consciousness, even philosophically, as you put it, beyond that. So how do we get beyond that stage is by addressing the soul, the mind, and saying, get out of the body and come back to me. Who the hell do you think you are? I'm your master, the soul. You're just one of the elements. You're supposed to stick with me, not go off and do things on your own and then become a propagandist for the body, telling me that I am that dead creature staggering around about to have a heart attack or a stroke. Yeah, no, I'm not that person. Why are you trying to convince me? Well, because of my personality, my experiences, my background, my childhood, it all led to me being me, this body. Oh, yes? And when you die, will you also be you, that corpse? Well, I don't know
No
what to
answer.
say about that
No,
one.
nobody. You don't want to be that now, do you?
Yeah, too late to be the body. Once the body dies, so why are you so anxious to be the body now? So, well, I think I'll live for a very long time. Okay, live for a very long time, forever? No, not forever, but I don't want to think about that. Okay, you've heard people say things like that, right? He said, okay, so have you ever considered why you think you're going to live for a long time, which you may or may not do? I mean, there's tons of people that die in motorcycle accidents when they're 15. Why do you think you're going to live so long?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it just feels that way. And I can argue with you, sir. Do you know why it feels that way? Because you think you're me. You think you're the soul that's eternal. And you're acting as though the body is eternal when it's not. You assume it. You don't want to talk about death because death is an end to what you feel is an eternal experience. You're experiencing a temporary body as though it were eternal. Now, can a person get much more foolish than that? How stupid is that?
It's pretty crazy.
Yes. Well, it's deranged. But why is it happening? Because the mind is soaked into the body. Has been since conception, before conception. The mind comes into the womb with Jiva. And so all that time, the mind is very comfy, or not so comfy, in the body. The burned child dreads fire. That's not very comfy. But the child doesn't want to die and never experience anything again. He just won't touch fire again if you get
Right.
over it. So what is the bottom line? So I like to say that the mind identifies with the shape of your body, right? Why not? What other shape would it identify with? What would it identify with?
I have
It's
no
not
idea.
it's not just a vapor. Yes. So it's flexible. It's like silly putty. More specifically, I like to use an example which doesn't resonate with people as well as I wish it did, but I'll try it to see if it resonates with you. And that is, we'll give you a chance to try to resonate with it. Yeah, have you seen those plastic bears in the grocery store that are filled with honey?
Oh yeah, the little honey bear.
Honey bears. Yeah. Why is the honey shaped like a bear?
Because
In the-
bears like honey.
No, I mean in the store. Plastic bears don't like honey.
No, why is the jug shaped like that?
Yes.
Because people associate bears eating honey?
Because the honey identifies with the bear-shaped jar because he's in a bear-shaped jar.
Oh, uh, okay. I missed one. Yeah, when the connection. Okay.
Yeah. What if the, yeah, I'm sorry, but no, you didn't. You got it. So it doesn't matter when you get it. Once you got it, you got it.
Thank you.
So what if you pour the honey into a Mrs. Butterworth jar? You know Mrs. Butterworth?
Yeah, yeah.
What if you pour honey into a Mrs. Butterworth syrup jar?
It's gonna take the form of the Mrs. Butterworth jar.
And what will the honey think it is?
It's gonna think it's Mrs. Butterworth now.
Yeah. And suppose you take the mind and pour it, not honey, but the mind and pour it into a human body, your body. What will the mind think it is?
The container, the body.
Yes. They'll think it's what you would call, or people would call, not you, but other people call, you would identify with me. Who are you? I'm the honey, I'm the jar, and the butter, and the honey is in the honey bear. I'm the bear, and the honey is in the bear, and that's who I am. I'm the honey shaped like a bear. Said, wait a minute, but what if you were poured into a different vessel? I don't know. That's too hard to imagine.
I don't want to think
So,
about it.
Yeah, I don't want to think about it. But that's what it exists exactly like. So when Bhaktisiddhanta said, beat the mind 100 times, 50 times with a shoe in the morning, 50 times with a stick at night, he is saying, get the mind out of the honey jar, the honey bear jar. Let the bear's jar remain the bear's jar. But no, take the honey out. The honey belongs with the master. The master is the jiva.
Right.
You're the master of the mind.
The honey's
Why
not the
would
jar.
Yeah, not the container that the mind is desperate to convince you is you. So it's not the body that's the enemy. It's the mind.
It's the mind.
And the mind is like, are you married?
No.
Okay. So the mind is like a woman. A good woman is virtuous, chaste wife, stays with her husband, doesn't goof around, doesn't try to get into other people's stuff and business.
Mm.
And the whore likes to go wherever the whore can go. Prostitutes and whores actually are experts at identifying with their customers. That's why customers like them.
Mm.
They see a man and they sort of absorb into his shape and mind.
Oh. It's like
so that they can get the top. That's if they want top dollar. If they're just ordinary, they could say, well, do what you're paying $5 to do, and I'm going to think about something else and roll my eyes into my head. That's not the same quality whore. So here we go. Here's the mind compared to a whore. And now you want the mind to become a virtuous female, because the mind is feminine, a virtuous female. So you beat the mind with a stick at night and with a shoe in the day, and make the mind come to you and not leave. So the mind comes and becomes like a aura around the jiva. The mind is absorbed up to the jiva, snuggled up to the jiva. So then the mind gets a moment of the past recollection and says, oh, Mr. Husband Jiva, could I just put my little finger in the finger of the body that I used to think I was? Smack. No. Smack goes the shoe or the stick. No. Why not? Because it's not you, idiot. And you had me convinced it was me. I'm eternal spirit soul. You had me convinced that I was the body. And then you were the vehicle for doing that, you whore. And now I've got you out of there. I've turned you from a hippie girl into a Prabhupada disciple Brahmin. And now you're virtuously married to a Vaishnava husband, even though he used to go around with every woman he could get his hands on. And now look at him, he's chanting 16 rounds and he's following the regulated principles. He's staying with his one wife, and you're having a beautiful child who you adore. Well, that's good, isn't it?
Pass the
Yes,
broomstick.
yes. So I'll give up being a whore for the time being. I mean, forever. And so that's what the mind does. Then you might ask, well, what happens to the body without the mind identifying with it? Can you imagine if your mind did not identify with that earth, fire, air, water, air, ether, mind, intelligence structure called your body? What if the mind didn't identify with your body right now? Can you imagine?
Yeah, no, this is beyond my capacity.
Is it or isn't it?
Well, I don't know. Like,
Well, it isn't anymore beyond your capacity, but it's perhaps beyond your immediate range of experience.
Right.
okay,
Okay,
Yeah.
so now the mind is separated from the body is on its own. So you'd think, well, the jiva and the mind are still in the heart of the pumping blood of the human or animal or whatever the creature is, right?
Right.
That you're identified with.
Right.
Now you're no longer identifying with the body, you're looking at it. And then you're saying, the mind begins to say, I thought it was so great being me, meaning body. Pus, blood, stool, so many nice things. Why did I think it was so nice? Why did I think it was such a great idea in the first place? It's horrible. It's disgusting, loathsome. Good thing Prabhupada pointed out. Pus, blood, stool, so many nice things.
yeah,
Yeah, so that's what happens when you wake up and you're no longer identified with the body. So, what about the body? What then controls the body? Or does the body just act like a robot that's run out of batteries and it's going to stand there until it rusts to death? How does the body continue, or does it? Do you have any ideas?
unless, I mean, if now the mind has become under control of the soul, then the body is now going to follow the soul's conscious. I mean, the divine
The
path.
body, does the body made of anything that contains
Oh, okay, no,
consciousness?
I got it. The body's, it doesn't matter. The body's not
Yeah,
going
it
to
does.
matter.
The body can't do anything, can it?
No.
It cannot identify, this is me. All it can do is do what bodies do best. Function. Breathe, blood flows, digestion goes on, bones grow, bones shrink.
Okay, so
Right?
then it's just physical growth and
Yeah,
deterioration.
so what controls the body? We know, okay, for the jiva to extract its mind from the body, the jiva has to have a means of doing so.
Paramatma.
Yes. And Paramatma under the guidance of the Uttama Adhikari,
Mm-hmm.
the Acharya.
Brought it all full circle.
Yes. So when the Acharya guides the jiva knows that I am not this body, I am spirit soul. Why? He sat down and listened to a lecture by Srila Prabhupada, and Prabhupada said, you are not this body, you are spirit soul. And the jiva sitting there in the class says, I'm, I fall asleep. Oh no, I'm not this body, I'm spirit soul. People fall asleep when Prabhupada gets to that part. So I'm honest, I've sat through so many Prabhupada lectures, I've seen it. And because they don't get much sleep, devotees usually 4 hours sleep. And they don't want to hear that they're not their body when their body's crying out for sleep. So, or the mind of the body is crying out for the body to get some sleep. So here's the body without the mind identifying with it. The jiva is now identifying with himself. Aham Brahmasmi. That's who I am. I am the soul. I don't have a soul. The mind is saying, yes, my dear master, you are the soul, and I am your faithful consort, your girlfriend, your wife, whatever you want to say. I am with you, baby. I'm with you. And what does the body do? We're so used to being our bodies in our own mind. What does the body do when I'm not my body? What if the body's on its own without me being the body? What does the body do?
Just its autonomous things. Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Breathe, like we were speaking of breathing, blood pumping, like this. If I'm
Yeah,
having a hard time.
No, you're not. You're doing great. I'm giving you, you're not having a hard time. I'm giving you a hard time.
No, this
A
is I know it's good.
torturously bad time. I'm torturing you, but I want you to stick your neck out so I can chop it off, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
You know? But anyhow, just to get back on track here, and not to chop your neck altogether off, or even at all, what is controlling the body at that point?
Paramatma.
Nah. Paramatma doesn't control the body.
The mind.
So
The jiva.
Okay. No, the jiva has to be there for the body to continue, but and Paramatma's with the jiva, but the Paramatma is no longer giving the jiva ideas of how to make the body have more fun.
Right. Paramatma's not the slave anymore.
Thank you. That's exactly how I choose to put it. Slave. We're making
I learned that
Krishna,
from listening to you, Prabhu.
Oh my God, that's a great one. I wish I could hear somebody say that.
You said it's time to stop making Paramatma our slave, and I was just like, I was sitting here, I was just like, whoa, there it is.
There it is, isn't it? There it is. If I'm telling, here's my car keys, go fetch. I mean, my God.
When you think about it like that, you realize the audacity.
Yeah, isn't it amazing? So, yeah, thank you for saying that. I thought maybe you came up with it and I learned it from you somewhere. But yeah, we're all in this together. So, what is the body made of?
Earth, water, air, fire.
Yeah.
Either. Intelligence.
But not mind. Not mind.
Oh, the body,
no
the physical body, the five elements.
Yeah.
5 physical elements, not the subtle.
Okay, and what controls the 5 elements in this universe?
Krishna?
No. Krishna could give a rat's ass about the 5 elements. He's been playing with gopis in Vrindavan. Why does he want anything to do with the 5 elements?
Okay.
He only comes to the jiva, who is part and parcel of him, because the jiva wants something, and because the jiva is part of Krishna, Krishna is not going to sit there and allow part of him not to get what he wants. So he sends Paramatma to help the jiva, not the body. The jiva wants the body, Paramatma wants the jiva. But if the jiva wants some booze, Paramatma knows how he can find some. Mm-hmm. Being in the heart of everyone's, in everyone's heart, including the bartender's heart. Right?
Yeah.
So no, what is controlling those material elements?
I'm at a loss here.
The same thing that controls the entire universe. The 3 modes of nature.
Oh, okay.
Does that make wait, I might be wrong. Does that make sense to you?
No, it does. It does. I always see the picture.
Yeah. Ignorance, dark, light. I mean, look at a plant, a tree. Light is coming and giving it growth for the branches. Passion is making it want to grow. Darkness is where it's grubbing around, slurping up nutrients from the soil, right? So earth, fire, water, air is all the material elements, but the body has all of those material elements and is controlled by the modes of nature. Now, when it comes to a particular body, what controls the material modes of nature of that particular body?
The person's, well, what controls
I know. It's the planets.
The person's not there anymore.
The planets.
Yeah, the planets. When you take birth, you're forced, because of your karma, to take a birth to either be rewarded or punished for what you did in previous life or lives, because it's not always your immediate previous life you're rewarded or punished for, but lives, maybe 100 lifetimes ago or 1,000 of lifetimes ago. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's I understand that. I understand the karmic facts and the repercussions are not, chronological like this.
Right. So somehow or other, the jiva going to the court of Yamaraj or going directly to its next body, as the case may be, is a compendium in the mind of the jiva, and the experience, the karma of the jiva is that he's bringing what's going to happen to him in his new birth. He's going to be born. Maybe he'll be aborted because he may have been a woman that aborted a child. He goes into the womb full of optimism and is aborted. Mm-hmm. And Prabhupada said 1,000,000 times for having aborted one infant in the womb.
They get aborted 1,000,000 times?
Yeah. They take birth and they don't see the light of day. They have cursed the jiva that they aborted to not see the light of day, not to taste the taste of mother's milk from the breast of the mother. She kills him in the womb.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, you don't get to see anything for a long time.
Oh, no, because every time you commit a sin that's really egregious, the reaction is stronger than the sin was to begin with.
Right.
Otherwise, well, sometimes it isn't. Sometimes it's equal. But for the most part, if Prabhupada actually said that, I don't know, he said 1,000,000 births or 1,000 births or 100 births, but it was more than dozens of births that the jiva has to keep going and being aborted. So if you end up supporting Planned Parenthood, you're probably supporting the killing of jivas that killed jivas. Mm-hmm. So you can feel good about it. Not quite. Not quite. Just like, if you go out to say, well, where are all these beef cattle come from?
Where do they come from?
Yeah.
Like the ones that are.
They were standing in line. They were in their cars ordering Big Macs at McDonald's.
Oh, right. like no connection to the source.
So is there any sin to killing a beef cow? Well, there is, because me killing a cow, me eating flesh, that's sinful.
Yeah.
But is there any bad thing that I'm doing to the cow? He's earned it. He'll be killed so many times. The beef cattle.
You're saying the cow's karma.
The cow.
Am I understanding what you're saying? You're saying the cow's karma is to be killed?
Did you say karma?
No.
Karma?
No, I said the cow's karma is to be killed.
No, well, it's the karma of the person who killed the cow.
No, yeah, okay, yeah, no, like you.
To become the cow and be killed.
Yes, exactly. The famous picture with the cow head and then the man with the human head and the cow body.
Yeah.
No, I misunderstood you for a second. I apologize.
I misunderstand myself continuously. That's why I'm so stupid.
Welcome to the
Anyhow, yeah, that's the basic idea. So, how does your karma deliver to you? It's delivered to you at the moment of your conception by the confluence of the planets that control that sort of stuff. Venus, Mars, Saturn, Jupiter, Scorpio. I mean, all of these things are there, aren't they?
Yeah.
And whatever you have earned, and presumably you weren't a busy aborting children or you'd be busy being aborted, you're going to take a birth. And that birth will be loaded with your past good things you've done. When I say good, I don't mean giving a hamburger to a homeless guy. Good things, oh, there's something good in doing that. It's charity. Charity is good. But giving a hamburger to a homeless guy is like condemning him to take birth as a cow.
That's
I don't know if
charity in the
that's a
mode of
good.
ignorance.
Yes, it's charity in the mode of ignorance. That's exactly right. So, so when you are then giving charity or doing something that's really actually beneficial that Krishna would call charity, or even forget Krishna, that the demigods would call charity, then you benefit and you get to enjoy. Now, the real source of enjoyment is your previous lives in higher planets. Well, you're aware of that, right?
Yeah.
Who said yep?
I did.
And
Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah. Previous life on higher planets. So on a higher planet, if you have done so many pious deeds, and those deeds are called karma, it's not like hippies' idea of karma. Karma means activity which produces a positive fruitive result. And it's done using yajna, and it's done using sacrifice. So people can accumulate so much good karma in a heavenly planet. They used to be able to develop good karma on this planet, but in Kali Yuga, it's become literally impossible because no yajnas have any effect. There's only one yajna that works, and that's the Sankirtan yajna. And that doesn't give you pious deeds, so you can go and enjoy yourself in Beverly Hills, having sex with the maid and driving a Mercedes Benz. So what happens is to people on the higher planets, heavenly planets, or approaching the heavenly planets, or above the heavenly planets, they accumulate all this good karma. Then they get sick and tired of all the austerity it takes to get the good karma. They feel so full of themselves that they start enjoying. And they can enjoy in the heavenly planets probably many, many lives, maybe hundreds of lives, thousands, who knows. But as they do enjoying, each time without them realizing it, they're taking a somewhat lesser birth. First, you're born as the son of the Brahmin. Then, next time you're born as the younger son of the Brahmin. And then you're born as the girl child of the Brahmin. And then you're born as the somewhat adult, autistic girl child of the Brahmin. And then you're born as the cat of the Brahmin or the dog of the Brahmin. I mean, you keep on going down the hill without noticing that you're going down the hill.
Right.
Yeah. So that's when people come to planet Earth. Planet Earth is loaded. It's a middle planet. It's loaded with former demigods. Where are they? Beverly Hills, Hollywood, New York, upstate New York. They're all over the place, enjoying without even thinking of increasing their good karma. If they go to Las Vegas and gamble, they go, I'm going to increase my wealth, meaning I'm going to increase my good karma. They go there, just the act of gambling reduces their good karma because gambling is one of the regulated principles to avoid. And then if they lose even $50, they've lost their good karma to the tune of $50, plus their airfare, plus their car, plus their hotel room, plus the lunch at the buffet. And to top it off, if they win, suppose you win $100,000, say, well, now you can see my good karma paid off, didn't it? Yes, your good karma paid off. But along with your good karma paying off, you lost so much good karma because gambling is a sin. Why is gambling a sin? Because it's stealing from somebody else who had money that they can't afford to lose. A working class man loses his money at the gambling table. I win at the same table.
That's interesting.
I'm taking this hardworking man who's just simply hoping to be able to get a better house for his family, and now he's going to lose his car because he won't be able to make the payments. I'm taking that man's money as my good karma. Right. Yeah, you did have good karma because you got wealth which you didn't have before, and Lakshmi or money is good karma. But look how tainted it is, how poisoned it is. You got it's like robbery. Except you don't go and steal, you gamble. The gambling process is not the same as going into a house and burglarizing it. It's not that direct a crime.
Right.
But it is a crime because you're engaging in cheating an innocent man, woman, many men. Supposing 10,000 men lose $100 and you win that much money in one chunk at the table, look at all the misfortune you've created for so many people.
And then thinking that this is your fortune. This is your benefit. That's a very nice. That's a good visualization there.
Yeah, and what is the realization of the guy running the casino? He thinks he's having a good time, giving people a good time. Everybody's having fun. We feed him actually not have to pay at the buffet, free gourmet food at the buffet. They fly that buffet food, secondhand food from famous hotels all over the world. You know, when the famous hotel with famous chefs makes dishes and they serve it at a buffet, they don't throw it in the trash. They send it to Las Vegas and get paid for it. Did you know that?
I believe it.
But it's true. I've checked it out. Now you might say, why do I know so much about Las Vegas? Well, I've been there several times. And I was there once when I was just married. I was there with my wife at that time, and she wanted to go to Las Vegas, so we were there. And every time we got in the elevator, there was this Chinese guy. And we're smiling and laughing and having so much fun at the Las Vegas. She was a tour guide, so she took German tourists to Las Vegas all the time. She spoke fluent German. So she took all these tourist guides to Las Vegas. She thought that would be fun to take my husband to Las Vegas, and I could show him around the way I show the tourists around.
Yeah.
So she did. So we were having a lot of fun. We were eating at the buffet, all the gourmet stuff, and we were we chanted Hare Krishna first, of course, but we would get in the elevator. There was always this Chinese guy. We were there for a week, and every day he looked more and more haggard and more miserable. And he saw us laughing. He said, "How are you doing?" We thought he's asking, "How do you feel?" And we said, "Oh, we're doing great. We feel wonderful. We're wonderful." He said, "Oh, next day, we're happy again. How are you doing?" "Oh, we're doing great." Oh, he looked even more miserable. It wasn't until we left Las Vegas after a week of seeing that guy getting worse every day, he was asking, "Are we winning at the tables?" "How are you doing?" means, "Are you winning?"
Yeah.
And we weren't playing at the table, so we were winning by not playing. We didn't invest a dime in the slot machines. We didn't we didn't even watch the gambling. It's rather frightening to watch people losing money at a gambling table. We didn't have any interest in it. And another time I went to Las Vegas, I was staying at the what's the name of the hotel? The Venetian Hotel in Las Vegas, and I was there as a guest lecturer, being paid to talk about my field, which is esoteric aspects of restoring murals, frescoes in famous buildings.
Okay.
So they paid me there, gave me a nice room. I was luxuriating there. It was so nice that I made money. So I paid for my daughter Shakuntala and some other friends to come, and my son Kuva. They came out and we went through these theaters. We went around and chanted. We had kirtan with kartals and little madongas going through all the places where the people were gambling. And just had kirtan. It was so nice. So that's another experience of being in Las Vegas and not gambling. But I'm bringing this up because there's a man who made a lot of money in Las Vegas. His name was Edelson. Have you ever heard of him?
It doesn't ring a bell, but carry on.
He was a major donator to all sorts of people, including Kennedy, but more recently Trump. He's a big donor. I mean, billions and billions donor to political campaigns because he has all this money that has been taken from the death throes of poor people who lost all their money.
Yeah.
He was not a gambler. Maybe he was, but I mean, if he was a gambler, he didn't care if he lost $50,000 because for him it's just a game, because he's making so much money off the people that are losing money. But you know what his reward was?
His reward from who? Like, you mean his karma?
For all that karma that he got doing that gambling in Las Vegas, creating gambling scenes in Las Vegas, being the chief gambler and mafia coordinate although Jewish, not Italian, in Las Vegas. What did he get in the end?
They took him out. He got killed. What?
He died 3 days ago of old age at 89 years old. So I look back and I say, was it worth it? It didn't stop you from dying. So
Right.
Was it worth it?
Right.
What did you get out of that? That's why I told you all these complicated gambling stories so I can tell you about Nicholson dying. What did you get out of it? Now you're taking a weird birth somewhere. Maybe as a mosquito drinking the blood of a gambler slapping at his neck or something. So there it goes. So we got into that. How did we get into the gambling? Well, one of the regulated principles.
You were speaking on the karma of the person, like of
okay.
This person.
Well, I think I've hopefully entertained you with quite a panoply of karma that happens just from one line of work, gambling. All sorts, including slaughtering cows. So anyhow, the Kanista Adhikara is trying to overcome the tendency to gamble, amongst other things. So how long will he remain a Kanista Adhikari? As long as he wishes he didn't have to follow the regulator principles. And you might say, well, how do you know the Kanista Adhikari wants to break the regulated principles? And the answer is, why are there regulated principles?
If there's nothing, if there was not a standard to follow, then I get it.
If he didn't want to break the regulated principles, you could say, oh, well, whatchamacallums,
Yeah.
But I like to compare the 4 regulated principles to being like a corral or a pasture with 4 fences around it. And the horses are galloping around inside that pasture. And they can eat as much as they can stuff, and they can mate as much as they like to mate. They can do whatever they want to do in that pasture, except one thing. What can't they do?
They can't leave that pasture.
Yes, brilliant. Yes, that was a brilliant answer. They can't leave the pasture. They can't leave the pasture. So that's the Kanista Adhikari. He's having a wonderful time in the pasture, but he can't leave the pasture. And if somehow or he jumps the fence or the fence breaks down or the farmer leaves the gate open, then he's finished. He's no longer a Kanista Adhikari. He's back, bloop, back down in the material pool. The Kanista Adhikari is no small thing. When I say that ISKCON is composed almost entirely of Kanista Adhikaris, is imposed at best with Kanista Adhikaris, that Prabhupada said, what is the Kanista Adhikari? Well, first of all, he has to say, Aham Brahmasmi, I am the soul. I am simultaneously and inconceivably one and different than God, Krishna. That's a big step. Well, how big a step is it? Prabhupada said the Vedic Brahmins did not have that consciousness. You think of Vedic Brahmins with all the cows being given to the Brahmins and the gold and the plates and the jewels, the mantras, and all of the things that happen, good and bad and indifferent with Brahmins and people in general. They had everything, but they did not have the consciousness that I am myself part and parcel of Krishna. They were following the dharma of a Brahmin.
The Vedic Brahmins in the previous Yuga?
Huh?
The Vedic Brahmins in the previous Yuga?
What about Shiva?
No,
he said
the previous.
The Brahmins in the previous Yuga.
Yeah. So the Brahmin is not yet on the level of Kanista Adhikari. To get the idea of Kanista Adhikari, Prabhupada said, the Kanista Adhikari, it's like standing at the train station and looking down the tracks and you see a train coming. You said, and someone points to it, like you're a little kid or something, and points to, Johnny, there's a train. And what do you see? You see a big, round, bright light, right? Mm-hmm. You say, that's the train. But then the train gets closer, and you begin to see behind the light, there's a structure of the engine. And as it comes up closer, the structure, there you see cars, and look inside the windows, you see there's people in there. That's the Madhyam Adhikari platform. And then the doors open, and at some point you're allowed to step onto the train, and you're welcomed by those on the train onto the train. That is the Uttama Adhikari platform.
That's a very good analogy.
Prabhupada's exact analogy.
Very good analogy.
Yes, it is. It's crude as anything, but it's a wonderful analogy because it at least gives us a sense of ABC, right? 1, 2, 3. Step 1, step 2, step 3. And so the little kid who said, "Oh, I thought that big bright thing was the train." Well, it's just the light of the train. But look inside the train, you'll see there are people in the train. Wow, there's people in the train.
Yeah.
And then you say, how is it possible to get on the train? Well, the door's open and you're not being in, but you're invited into the train. Come on, let's get on the train. So you can see that's not happening in ISKCON right now. They see the train coming down the track, more or less. They may not even see them, but they've heard the trains coming down the track. They don't bother looking because they know it's coming down the track, or so they've heard. Prabhupada said so. Prabhupada said so. That's how Jayapataka used to talk to Prabhupada. Prabhupada would say, if you continue using, this is before he was a sannyasi, if you keep using this cook, it will kill the devotees because his cooking is demoniac and is producing deathly energy by cooking. I heard Prabhupada say that to Jayapataka.
This was about Jayapataka's cooking?
No. About
the cook he had, the cook that he had.
Yeah, he was hiring a Karmi cook.
Oh.
That's what they did in the temples, believe it or not. Instead of Vaishnavas cooking their own prasad in India, instead of cooking, like being the Brahmin doing the cooking, they hired these horrible people that were not even vegetarians to do the cooking because they knew how to cook Indian recipes. And Prabhupada said, you will kill the devotees. This person's energy is evil.
Yeah.
And you know what John Pataka said? But Prabhupada, that's exactly what he said and how he said it. But Prabhupada, we have to hire him because we can't afford to. Everybody else is out doing preaching work. We can't afford to have anybody stay back and cook. Prabhupada. And so people did get sick.
Yeah, that's insane. I mean, I know, like, properly, you know, Brahmin is supposed to like Brahmin cooks like this. Not initiated devotees in ISKCON temples aren't allowed to cook like this.
Yeah.
What
But
was
in
going
India,
on?
you can hire a guy that knows all sorts of recipes. His cooking was so disgusting that no one could eat it. Everybody snuck out and ate at the shops.
They went to go get some samosas.
Yeah. Well, we were in Calcutta Temple. This is right close to Chaurangi. Have you been to Calcutta?
No, I haven't been to India yet.
Okay. It's probably different now. This is back in 1971, and or 71. And so I went to and you go out there near the Calcutta Temple. If you go down the street, you come to a street, a boulevard called Chaurangi. On the corner of, and the temple was on Lenin Sarani, back when Lenin was not out of favor, the Russian Lenin. And so the corner of Lenin Sarani, now it's called Shakespeare Sarani, but at that time it was called Lenin Sarani. I thought that was amusing. I liked Lenin Sarani. But on the corner was a shop known as Gangaram and Grandsons. Gangaram and Grandsons.
Okay.
And they were mistiwalas, or they sold sweets. The most insanely delicious sweets you've ever tasted in your life. They were so good that actually Prabhupada allowed us to buy them there and offer them to the deities.
Oh, wow.
Particularly considering that the cook would have turned the milk and turned it into poison also,
Huh. That's heavy though. Like, I mean, taking boga like that outside and offering it to the deities. Wow.
Well, but he was a devotee.
No, yeah, no, okay. Oh, okay. The sweet shop was owned by devotees.
Not an ISKCON devotee, but devotee of Krishna.
Yeah, exactly. He was a Vaishnava.
Yes.
Haribo.
A Vaishnava, not a mediator or anything like that.
Yeah, okay.
He wasn't a bad karma. So I'm just saying that's what the devotees would do. They'd go sneaking out and eat misti dahi. Misti dahi was buffalo yogurt made with brosh.
Yeah, misti dosh.
Misti dosh, yeah. It was made, but they made it out of buffalo milk, and they made each pot of yogurt was made in a clay pot, a little clay pot, that was just a serving size. So you got the yogurt and it was coagulated there with a thick skin because it was buffalo milk, a thick skin, and mixed with palm sugar.
Okay.
To sweeten it, not cane sugar, but palm from the trees, the sap of the trees. And was it insanely good?
Date palms, yeah?
I'm not sure if there was date palms. I mean, most palms have sweet sap.
Yeah, palm sugar.
But these, what they would do, if you go to Mayapur, along the road in Mayapur, these palm trees grow, and they all look really weird because they have notches. They have like things like little staircases going up their bark. because every year they go there and they chop into this tree and drain the syrup into pots. Then in the middle of the road, they take a cauldron or a big flat pan about 2 feet thick, 2 feet deep, and about 4 or 5 feet wide, and they fill it with the syrup and they boil it until it becomes jaggery.
Yep.
Or, palm sugar. So that was how we survived there. So Jayapataka Papad, but how did I get into that? I was talking about something else, wasn't I?
We were talking about the prasad, and then you were telling me. I thought that Jayapataka was cooking, and you said that's when he was speaking
No,
about how they were hiring
but
outside karmi devotees, or karmi, not devotees, just karmis to cook the food.
yeah. So the question is, why did I start saying? I said Jayapataka so I could tell you something about how I used to call him Papad.
Right
But
before
the
that,
thing,
you did the visualization with the train, the light, seeing the cars, and then entering in that, and then
yes,
we went karmically over there, and then Jayapataka had come up with the speaking on the prasad there.
yeah, he didn't get on the train, by the way. He
That's the
didn't.
same. That's similar to the. That's the same visualization with the sunshine, the sun's surface, and then entering the sun planet like this. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
it's the same idea, except the sun planet's a material planet.
Right.
So all of the deeds which we do are injected by the planets into our next body. And not only that, as we are born, regardless of gender or species, as we are born, when we're born, we go through different planetary constellations, right?
Yeah.
And coordinates of the different planets. And when this is conjoint with that, and this is eclipsing that, this is doing this to that. So as those things happen, some planets, like if there's an eclipse of the sun, all of us are affected
Right. Right.
karmically by the negative effect of the eclipse of the sun. When it's Saraswati, well, no, Saraswati is individual, but anytime there's a cosmic event like an earthquake, and or a volcanic eruption like Pompeii, the joint karma takes place at that time, and only rarely do innocent people get caught up in it. And when they do, they get a special dispensation in their following life because their life was cut off inappropriately shortly.
Right.
But otherwise, it's always tit for tat. If I kill a man, if you look at his chart, it said on that precise day with a knife, you're going to die. That's just the way it is. But people don't have that good an astrologer, and they don't know how to read the planets themselves. So it doesn't make any difference. They'll just walk you along. Fool number one, fool number two, fool number three. So, so the nature of each birth is then guided by the planet. So when you come out of the womb and you're growing, your planets are getting you benefits, discomfort, misery, wealth, so many things as you take birth in this body. The body you're in right now has gone through, if you look at your chart and you look at your life, you'll see, oh, that explains why I went through this. Oh boy, that divorce was inevitable, things like that,
Right.
I'm not saying you got divorced, but these things are going up through like that. And you can tell. So accurate can astrology be that Prabhupada said that in the time of Lord Chaitanya, that a couple of astrologers or 3 or 4 astrologers would sit on the ground and they would do calculations and predict which direction an ant would walk after 2 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's a damn good astrologer. I wish I had one of those when I was. Wish I had one of those when I was in Las Vegas. I wouldn't have lost my shirt. But anyhow, just kidding, of course. But the thing is that yeah, so these astrologers were very good. Nowadays, astrologers aren't good at all. They can barely help you.
They'll steal your money.
Yeah, they steal your money, and there's certain of them are certain of them can help you not marry the wrong woman or not going to business at the wrong time. If they know their stuff, know their vastu, know the Shilpa Shastra and all of that, if they know all of that stuff, they can help you make progress and not fall into pits. There was one devotee that was at that time the temple president of Laguna Beach, and he went to my, at that time, favorite astrologer, whose name is Petita Pavana now. He used to be Petit Udaran. He lived in Berkeley. He would go to him and ask him, is this a good time to make a drug deal? He was the president of the Laguna Temple. Is this a good time to make a drug deal?
Wow.
And Petita Pavana said, everything is going to come down on you like a ton of bricks and you'll get busted and go to jail. But there's a lot of money involved in that drug deal. And he said, oh, well, that's one of the guy's opinion. So he did, he went through with the deal. After a year, he got out of jail.
Mm.
He got out of jail after only a year of heroin dealing as the temple president of Laguna Beach. He got out of jail for heroin dealing only because he busted all of his partners and they got 5-10 year sentences. And because he squealed on them, and then he went into the court and said, I'm helping you guys. Isn't that amazing? I'm helping you guys. Otherwise you get terrible sentences. Well, I think 10 years is pretty bad. Oh my God. You should have heard in the back room what they were talking about.
Well played.
Well played, yeah. And they said, but you only got a year. Yeah, but I didn't even touch any drugs. But you were the mastermind. You came up with the money. You hired us. You told us to do it. You said this was to serve Prabhupada, in fact. Yes, but I didn't commit any crimes. I maybe induced you to commit crimes. I didn't commit any crimes. So they were so dumb and so stoned on heroin that they said, oh, okay, I get it. Hare Bol Prabhu. And so they went. So he did that. He went to the astrologer, my astrologer told him not to do it. So do you know what he did after he got out of jail?
No, what did he do?
I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm on a wild guess. What did he do after he got out of jail?
He went back to doing the same thing.
He went
to my astrologer again and asked him if this was a good time to make a drug deal. My astrologer said, no, the planets are going to crash down on you like you're walking along New York City street and somebody's hoisting a planet out of the 12-story window and the rope breaks in and the planet lands on and hits you on the head. That's what it's going to be like. But it was a lot of money involved, so he did it anyhow. That was number 2. I won't bore you with the details, but would you believe that he actually quit doing it after number 4?
Did he make enough money?
Oh, he was always getting money. He knew how to do that. He knew how to make drugs.
That's great.
He even supported the Narayan Maharaj temple in Santa Monica with heroin dealing.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's one way to put it.
Yes.
Interesting.
So it's interesting. So, but he has a lot of Vaishnava intelligence. He likes the philosophy. He's read a lot of books. He chants his rounds invariably, and et cetera, et cetera. And he considers himself, as he got kicked out of ISKCON, of course, so he ended up with the Narayan camp. They consider he's a nice devotee. After all, he helped pay for the temple.
All drug money we use for
Yeah.
temple.
Yeah, so I mean, that is so disgusting. And yet we're talking about something that might be even more disgusting, which is the Kanista Adhikari giving Diksha and claiming to be a bona fide guru.
Yeah, bona fide Uttamadakari Guru.
Well, I don't know. Do they say they're Uttamadakari?
The longest to even think about that.
Huh? What?
That's what took me the longest to even think about that. It's like ISKCON is not gonna put that information to make you think like that, because that's gonna be counterproductive.
Huh, you figured it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's because ISKCON is in a what do they call it, a circular shooting match. They're all shooting each other in ISKCON. You didn't notice, how did he become a guru?
He got voted in by the Yeah, go ahead, Prabhu.
Yeah, go ahead, Daniel. How did he become? Are you Czechoslovakian?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, it's Polski, Polish.
What?
Polish.
Polish.
Grabik.
Polish.
Grabik.
Oh, Polish.
Yeah.
Polish. What
Grabik.
part of Poland? What? I
I'm
thought
not
it.
from Poland. I was born here.
Is it? Yeah. Well, it doesn't sound. Grabishek, is it?
No, Grabik. If you look up Google, Grabik, Poland is a town in Poland, I guess. I've never been there.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Yeah, my dad was from Warsaw.
Okay.
Yeah, for whatever that's worth. So anyhow, but you were from a Catholic background, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting adventure. So how did the gurus become gurus?
Well, like Ramachandra Prabhu had already said, there's a voting system to become initiated guru, yeah?
And who does the voting?
The GBC.
Okay. And who created the GBC?
Prabhupada created the GBC.
Yes, Prabhupada created the GBC. And how long was the GBC supposed to remain in? And where was the GBC members supposed to come from?
Where were the additional GBC members?
No, how were they picked? How were they picked? How they should have been picked?
Oh, it was a voting.
No.
Vote, yeah.
The temple president picks. The temple presidents pick the GBC.
Oh.
No, I'm trying to lead him down the path here a bit.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Okay, you've shown him there's an elephant trap in the path. Okay, so the Prabhupada created the GBC in 1970 with 12 men who would remain 12 men, and every 3 years, the temple presidents would elect replacement GBC men, and they would be rotated out like that, so that every 3 years a new GBC man would come in, and he would be an elected temple president. When he was finished, he would go back to being the temple president.
Oh, okay.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Proper system.
Yeah, he created
right. And so these people are not
a document called the Direction of Management, by which he wanted to create a management structure that was based on a lower hierarchy, meaning that the temple presidents would elect their GBC, but the GBC would have no real executive power. They would help the temples develop. They would help them buy new temples. They would help them do stuff that would be called Big ISKCON. Prabhupada called it Big ISKCON. And in that Big ISKCON, the GBC would then also get wonderful experience, so that when they went back to being the temple president and the temple that they came from, they would have a wealth of knowledge that would make that temple better.
Right.
At no point did Prabhupada say the GBC would not be elected.
So So you see
Okay.
here
Yeah,
what
yeah,
went
yeah.
wrong.
Yes.
And at no point did Srila Prabhupada say that the GBC would not only not be elected, but when they needed new ones, they would elect each other.
Right.
And absolutely under no circumstance, under any of the three planetary systems, plus the Brahmajyoti, plus Krishna Loka, plus all the Vishnu planets in Krishna Loka, was there even remote chance that Prabhupada would say that the GBC can select gurus?
He never said
He
that.
never said that, nor did he suggest it. Neither did he authorize it. Neither is it bona fide. And
Do you
yet,
see?
right now,
Yes.
all the
Yes.
gurus come from being elected by the GBC, and kicked out by the GBC too.
And let back in by the GDC.
That's a fact. So guess what it's exactly like?
Catholic Church.
Yes.
Well, don't say it too harshly because he's sort of Catholic, but
No,
yeah,
no, no. He's born a
I'm not
the
vice.
Catholic Church.
I'm not
So
offended.
what they did is they created a system where Prabhupada is like the Jesus figure, and then they have a bunch of popes and cardinals called the GBC, and then from that point onward, they regulate from the top down, not from the bottom up, the way Prabhupada wanted it. You see the point?
Right. Yeah,
You should ask Danavid these questions and see what he says now that you know.
What is that?
No, I said
he was
to Dan.
he was telling me to ask Danavar Maharaj Goswami these questions.
Let's see how he answers it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
you can
last time
ask
I
him.
saw him was at the he was at Kishore Kishori here, and it was probably, I don't know, 6 years ago or something like that. And
Right.
again, you're aware of his health condition and stuff, and
No, but it's better now, so
yeah,
he
no,
might converse it.
I seen his lectures like a while ago, and I was just like, Hare Bo, like wow, he got some help there. Yeah, that's good. But no,
Oh, you
that'd be
mean,
an interesting conversation. Inquiring this, you know what I mean? Because you know the answers, and it's what's the explanation of this?
the explanation is that nobody asked the question.
Mhm. Yeah,
How can you answer a question that nobody asks?
Nobody said what's going on here.
Yes,
That's why we're having the Zoom meetings. What's going on here?
yes.
Mhm.
Because what we want to do is create an atmosphere and a forum of people that will be able to look at these matters straight on as Prabhupada taught them, not as the GBC recreated them into something else.
Yeah.
But if you're inside of ISKCON, you join the ISKCON temple, one of them, you're inside of a temple, you're inside of a GBC, you're inside of a guru system, and then you go from this temple to that temple. I like this guru, I like that guru. And it's at no point does anyone begin to question. Like, for instance, in the Catholic Church, aside from Martin Luther, how many people have actually questioned the Catholic Church?
I can't name one.
No one in ISKCON questions anything, especially the
No.
disciples of the gurus.
No.
They have
And
no brains to question.
If you do, your welcome is running short. Yeah.
Yeah. You've heard of the Inquisition. You've heard of the bonfire of the vanities. So
You've heard of Solution.
Yeah, you've heard of Solution.
Yes. 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 You know, one of the biggest things, Ramachandra Prabhu, like so potent, so short, was when you turned the pages and showed Bhakti said the first picture Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur missing from Bhagavad Gita. I never
Oh, that
saw it. You know what I mean?
you saw
I
that
have-
video, huh?
Yeah, I have
Uh-huh.
this, and then
Hmm.
this, but I one so easy thing, and I'm like, Haribo Prabhu, like
Hmm.
very, because it's like, okay, pictures are very nice, but it's like, whoa, you took out the Parampara out of Bhagavad Gita? Like, wow. And then the other one that I was like, hit me hard the other day was when you guys were going through the Vyas Puja, and then
Yes, yes.
changing the word initiate to imitate.
Right.
Wow. Wow.
That
Oh,
is
you've
amazing,
been
isn't it?
you're following those classes, huh? I mean, those Ishtagoshti discussions.
Yes,
Wow.
I laid back because I felt like I was gonna. I was like, I just will take this in. I don't want to be a disturbance, you know. Just
No, no,
something I was
no
thinking that's
problem.
not
Well, but
accurate.
based on your commentaries and intelligence tonight, no disturbance. Just ask intelligent questions. But before you ask an intelligent question, remember that my request is that you be transparent. Not that you're using your good brain to come up with a good question.
Right, right, right. No, I have no problem admitting earlier when I was lost. I'm like, I don't know.
Make me dance like a puppet means
Yeah,
transparency. That's
yeah.
transparent. If I'm busy thinking from my birth and from my background, from everything, even when I was in the movement, oh, I met so and so devotees and I met them and we used to talk together. And
Hmm.
what is the use of saying these things?
Hmm.
That's what I think the Gaudiya Math were best at when they were busy killing each other and fighting, was that, oh, you remember that time the Bhaktisiddhanta ate 2 cups of khichdi, which was very unusual because he thought that was greedy thing to do, but he ate it because he said it was so good. You know, that what are they going to talk about? Where's their intelligence? Where's their self-realization?
Right, right, right. You just go on talking about these stories and stories and stories, but that's nice. Maybe has message, but yeah, it's not Prajapala,
So,
but at the same time.
well, with your permission, as time goes on, maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day, we'll get back to the Falgun Krishna Panchami. What verse are we on now? Are we in number 30 or something of that sort?
I think so, Prabhu. We'll have to look at it.
We'll have to look at it. And when we get back to it, I'll do what I'm doing. You know why I'm doing what I'm doing? Because I'm an insider before there was an outside.
Hmm.
In other words, I'm an insider from 1968. Temples were very simple places back then.
Hmm.
You called everyone Prabhu, you offered your obeisances, you took Krishna Prasadam, you never spoke a word inside the temple. If you wanted to talk about something, you went outside. There would be Prabhupada playing loudly, and people came in. You'd invite them in. You'd give them a plate of prasadam. And tell them what we're doing as devotees. But we didn't talk any prajalpa at all in the temple ever. So that's where I came in,
Hmm.
Yeah.
and I've been in since.
Right, right.
Oh well, there's been plenty of times, and I think, tell you quite frankly, I never joined ISKCON for 2 minutes. Do you know why?
Why?
I've never joined anything for 2 minutes in my entire life.
Uh,
I wanted to be initiated by Prabhupada. The devotees were in the temple, they were initiated by Prabhupada. I said, how can I become initiated by Prabhupada? They looked me up and down skeptically and said, well, first you're going to have to shave off your beard and your hair, and expecting me to run out the door, which I didn't do. And then you're going to have to dress like we do. Okay. And then when Prabhupada comes, he can give you initiation if you ask. If you are following nicely and obeying the regulated principles. And I said, really? Okay. Is that how I become a disciple of Prabhupada? Not, is that how I join ISKCON? You
right.
see
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
distinction?
Hmm.
I didn't want to join a group.
Right.
So many people joined the group. Some of them are still there, believe it or not. And others just joined the group, got tired of it, and left. They never surrendered to anything. They never surrendered to the concept that Krishna is actually real.
Hmm.
Otherwise, how could they leave?
Right.
Well, I mean,
Does it
you
make
mean like
sense?
leaving like
Like blue.
everything, like no more practicing.
Right. How could they give up? And practicing is only symbolic anyhow. How do you believe? Why do you practice? Because you believe. If you do you practice because you don't believe?
No.
I mean, some people say, if I practice, maybe I'll come to a point of believing.
Right.
They say
Yes.
that, but that's not really the best way to go. You practice to perfect what you believe, perfect your access to of what it is you believe, and you've taken into account that Prabhupada said when you chant japa, Hare Krishna, that Krishna is dancing on your tongue.
Mm-hmm.
And if Krishna is dancing on your tongue when you chant Hare Krishna, then I have to ask myself, which comes first, the mantra or the dance?
Mm.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
How can if I'm just dancing on my tongue, does he come on my tongue and then I chant? What's going on? Is it simultaneous? What is the meaning of this? He's dancing on your tongue. I think how disrespectful of me to have the Supreme Lord dancing on my tongue. Why should he dance on my tongue? You know, he should be dancing on the altar, dancing in Vrindavan or bathing in the Jamuna. Why is he dancing on of all things, my tongue? But that's what Prabhupada said. So, guess what? I accept it. So when I wrote my first letter to Srila Prabhupada, I wrote to him and I said, I want to serve Krishna in every way possible. That's what I wrote to him in my letter. It's my nature to say that. It's my nature to do things like that. When I do something, I try to do it in every way possible, not just superficially or in one little way or maybe or kind of, who knows, you know. No, I want to serve Krishna in every way possible. So Prabhupada wrote back to me in my Karmini, because I had not been initiated yet. He wrote, my dear Nathan Baruch, to say that you want to serve Krishna in every way possible is very rare symptom. It means you must have been a devotee in your previous life.
Mm.
And when I come to Los Angeles, to San Francisco, we will talk. I will discuss with you things that you can do and I want you to do. I was so fallen. I said, what is all this? You know, how can he say these things to a person like me?
Mm. Mm.
You know, particularly since my life had been rather, well, it was interesting for sure. Very strange life I was living.
At the time when you met the devotees in Prabhupada?
Yes. I was involved with all of I hated rock and roll, but I was involved with all the people that became rock and roll musicians because I knew them as folk musicians and bluegrass musicians before, and I was a professional folk musician. And I had several thousand followers who followed me and my singing. I had a unique blend, and I was actually sort of unique in the stuff I was singing. More like Pete Seeger than anybody else, if you know who he is. But the thing is that, you've heard of him?
No. Sorry.
Pete Seeger? Okay, well, he died a little while ago, a few years ago. But in any event, I saw that as a way of transforming the world, bring people together by uniting them with their different types of song. And that's what Pete Seeger did. Bring an African song so that Protestants can sing an African song, so that Catholics can sing a Jewish song, so that, you know, so let it move back and forth. Give peace a chance. That's what the Beatles said. And that's what we wanted to do, was to bring peace to the world. And without one moment of change of mind or hesitation, I still am given the determination that by Krishna's arrangement, how do we bring peace to the world? I want to bring peace to the world. Peace to the world. And how do we do that? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Rama
Ram
Rama,
Ram.
Hare Hare.
Yes. And how do we live? We create Varnashram Dharma. We created Varnashram Dharma with a 10, 25, 10,000 people on fertile land. And have a pinch of Brahmins, a few more Kshatriyas, a broad base of Vaishyas protecting cows, and an ocean of Shudras to help everybody do these things. Pyramid shape. The Shudras are at the bottom. I like to joke that the purpose of Varnashram is to feed the Shudras,
Oh, okay.
because otherwise they'll eat meat.
That letter that Srila Prabhupada wrote to you on August 7, 1968, it's a pretty long letter. I'm looking at it now.
Long? I thought it was just one page.
Well, it doesn't look like a page. Prabhupada, no, it's
Whoa.
probably a 1968 letter. Yeah, it's long. It talks about Radhastami, then it talks about Sankirtan is concerned, then
Okay.
he ends it.
How did he address it? To whom did he address it?
To you, Nathan Barak.
He did.
Yeah, so I'll read the letter slowly. So
Read the letter. I have
Yeah.
the letter. I've never lost it. Since
oh, you still have the letter. Okay.
I do, but read it. I want to
Okay.
hear it.
Okay, this is Prabhupada in Montreal. What's it? Montreal. How you say it?
Montreal?
Montreal. Yes.
Montreal. Yes,
Yes,
yeah,
Montreal.
Montreal, Canada.
Yes, August 7th, 1968. My dear
And
Nathan,
wait, I was initiated September 20th, 1968.
August, September. Oh, so
The
you were
month
not
of-
initiated a month before this.
Yeah, can you imagine?
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Yeah, interesting.
I'd only been in the temple a couple of months.
Mm-hmm.
Keep
So
going.
Srila Prabhupada says, my dear Nathan Barak, please accept my blessings. I'm so glad to receive your letter. Prabhupada writes, without date.
That was a big item for Srila Prabhupada.
Yes, very,
Yeah.
he's teaching already, huh? Without date, he says.
Right.
He's saying
Yeah.
in parentheses, in the future, while corresponding, please try to put the date of writing.
Wow.
I received your letter a couple of days ago, but could not reply to you due to mail strike. I guess that they had a mail strike then, huh?
Yeah, either in Canada or the United States.
Right. It is expected that the mail strike will end by tomorrow, as it is announced about their settlement. But still, I am not certain. I am therefore replying your letter by posting at Boston. Hopefully you will receive
Oh,
it
wait.
duly.
Wait, he said put the date because he didn't know because of the mail strike when I'd written the letter,
I see. I see.
right?
Right. Uh-huh.
Because it could have come from any time. Who knows? Could have been months ago.
Right. So
Go, keep going. I didn't mean to
Okay.
be interrupting, Prabhupada. So keep
it's
going.
okay. It's okay, Prabhu. Your letter is very encouraging, and I think in the future your enthusiasm and energy can be very suitably be engaged in transcendental loving service of Krishna. Wow. Everyone,
That amazes me because he didn't say devotional service exactly.
right, huh?
That's
Your letter is
of
very-
Krishna. That's
Right.
direct. That's direct. Keep going.
Let's see, where was I? And in the
Read
future,
that
you
part again. Read that
yeah,
part
that's what
again.
I'm doing. Yes.
Yes.
Your letter is very encouraging, and I think in future your enthusiasm and energy can very suitably be engaged in transcendental loving service of Krishna. Enthusiasm and energy can be suitably be engaged in transcendental loving service of Krishna.
Oh my
Jai.
God. Oh my God.
Every one of us has got a certain amount of good energy derived from Krishna. And when that energy is employed under the expert direction of spiritual master, one's life becomes successful. That is the secret of Krishna consciousness. The spiritual master must be a bona fide representative of Krishna by disciplic succession, receiving orders from the superior, and the disciple must agree to abide by the orders of the spiritual master. This is the simple method of spiritual advancement. If you remember this principle, it will be very nice. If you can carve Radha Krishnamurti very nicely, it will be a great service to the society. There is a quality of wood that is very hard and strong and black and heavy. In India, we call it ironwood. I think it is called ebony here. What is it called? Ebony?
Yeah.
Ebony? Here.
Ebony.
Ebony. If you can carve Krishna from this ebony wood and Radharani from another wood, on which is very hard and of golden color, and from the same golden wood, Lord Chaitanya, all of them 24 inches in height, and Radharani a little less. Then you can begin this work immediately. I am so glad to learn that you are eager to serve Krishna in every way possible. This mentality is very rare, and I guess that you must have been engaged in Krishna service in your previous life. To begin eager to serve Krishna is the greatest achievement. To begin to serve Krishna is the greatest achievement after many durations of pious life. So I trust you to begin this work immediately and concentrate your energy making this art a perfection. So far, Radha Krishna Murtis are concerned, you have many pictures in San Francisco and you can do accordingly. And so far, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Murti is concerned, I'm giving you a rough diagram herewith. Murari has got one diagram drawn by Gaura Shundara under my supervision, which you can also see. So did you get the pictures also?
Yes.
Oh, you still have those?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Krishna.
So far, now Sankirtan. So far, Sankirtan is concerned, that should be continued in all circumstances. Chanting of Hare.
Notice that he says Sankirtan, not Harinam and not Harinam Sankirtan. Sankirtan.
Yes, so far Sankirtan is concerned, that should be continued in all circumstances. Chanting of Hare Krishna Sankirtan is our life and soul. Side by side, if possible, then you can attempt for the ISKCON restaurant and Krishna Prasadam distribution. But this, I think, is secondary. I can understand from your letter that you have varied energies and you want to employ all of them into the service of Krishna. Please try to do as above mentioned, and it will be a great pleasure for me and a delight for all others. Hope you are well, and I shall be glad to hear from you by return of post. Please convey my blessings to all the disciples and inform Krishna Das. This is Karandra's brother, Krishna Das, right?
No.
Oh, okay.
That is Saradeva's brother.
Oh, yes, Saradeva's brother. I forgot.
He's a jeweler.
Right. Krishna Das, that I have received one letter from his good mother, and I shall reply it within a day or two. And I am very much obliged to Krishna Das's mother for her kind letter to me, and hope she is well and happy. Your ever well wisher, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Montreal, August 7th, 1968. Interesting, huh?
Yeah.
And pictures,
hearing
diagrams,
it,
or probably.
hearing you reading is different than me reading it. Hearing you reading it, and in the light of everything we've been discussing, I'm just overwhelmed,
Hare Krishna.
and I failed him 100%.
Well, we haven't failed yet. The body and
No,
soul are together.
No, he asked me to carve those deities.
Hmm.
I never carved or made one deity. I never couldn't do it.
I thought you did carve Lord Jagannath, no?
Jagannath, but not Radha Krishna from
Acha.
ebony and golden wood and Lord Chaitanya, 24 inches high. I tried for over a year, and in the end, I failed.
That's another pastime for another day, I think.
Yeah, I failed Prabhupada in every respect. So now I can't afford to fail him anymore.
Right.
Hare Krishna.
So please, God brothers, bless me with the power to not fail this time.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhus, for joining.
Jai.
Daniel Prabhu, Narayan Prabhu, and whoever is watching, they can join us for our next session. And Daniel, maybe you can invite some of your friends.
Haribo. Hey, Narayana Prabhu, can I ask you one question real quick?
Of course.
You were speaking on the Pretas the other day in the ghost lecture. That was a very good one. I was, and you were saying how there's probably more Pretas on Berloka than there is actual humans because they live for so much longer. And then I was reading in Garuda Purana, it says that there was no Pretas from Satya Yuga to Dwarpa Yuga. They only happen in Kali Yuga.
What?
I read in the Garuda Purana, it says that there was no Pretas weren't causing people disturbances. They weren't
What are
causing
pretas? What are pretas?
ghost body.
Only in the material world.
Right, but they were saying that in Garuda Purana, it says that there weren't ghosts bothering people from Satya Yuga to Dwarpa Yuga. It only started happening in Kali Yuga.
Well, that's very likely, isn't it?
Right.
I thought that was interesting. I didn't know if
in all those other, it's like in all the other yugas, people knew how to eat dinner and wipe the lips with a napkin, and they knew how to go to the bathroom and wash their butts. They knew how to do all sorts of things to keep a complete cycle without creating a nightmare out of it. But in Kali Yuga, people are creating a nightmare out of everything, including the presidential election. They're making a nightmare. So how do we expect them not to create a nightmare in terms of reincarnation?
Yeah.
Right.
They become ghosts. The ghosts are not all on their own. The ghosts are formerly embodied people.
Yeah.
So it's not that the ghosts are here and the ghosts are not there. No, ghosts occur when people die and don't take another birth.
A physical body.
Yeah, well, what other birth would they take? An ethereal body?
Yeah, right. I get you.
Well, a ghost is an ethereal body.
Yeah. No.
But, the higher beings don't necessarily, there's exceptions to every imaginable rule. So I'm not speaking about if you can find an exception to dump ghosts on the heavenly planets or something.
Yeah, no, it was just a question. I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, but in Kali Yuga, the people live in such a way that they're practically ghosts when they're still in their bodies.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Have you ever seen, also they're hunted, have you ever gone down the street and seen some guy, maybe an old black guy or something, screaming and waving his arms around in the air and talking in half a dozen different tongues?
Yeah, I've seen him.
Yeah.
There's a ghost.
Yep.
And the black people, because of their incredibly, what shall I say, if they have a natural nature mysticism in their origin in Africa, and the way they were living in Africa, they were part of the whole structure of the plants, the metals, everything. They were an integrated part of everything that was surrounding them. So when they came to the United States, they still, like, they would have speaking in tongues or mystical experiences or taking on ghosts or becoming ghosts. That came with it because they were broken from their heritage, their real heritage.
So Daniel, how old are you?
My physical body, 44.
Yes. You're 44 years old. Wow. So you've been associated with Srila Prabhupada's movement for some time now, huh?
For a little while, yeah.
About 20 years?
How long?
Yeah, since like early 2000, 2001, I met the devotees approximately.
Really? How interesting. Where did you meet them?
Kansas City.
Kansas City.
Rupanuga Vedic College.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How did you come across Rupanuga Vedic College?
No, I had worked at a health food store, and a bunch of vegetarians and stuff, and me and my friends, we would go outside and on our breaks, and who's got the best philosophy? Check out this book by this guy Yogananda, like this, and we had all our books. And one of my friends, he was like, "You should come to this place. You like that kind of stuff. They've got this food, and it's amazing, and whatever." And then he brought me to RVC. I didn't know what was going on when I first went there. The thing that got me from day one was lecture. I was like, more, please. I need to know what's going on here.
Yeah. So Donavir gave good lectures.
Yeah, it was potent. Coming from like I just got started. I had been reading all kinds of Mayavadi books. I had Prabhupada books, but like I didn't know.
It's hard to read Prabhupada when you're in the mood of Mayavada. It's very hard to read Prabhupada's books without feeling disjointed and a little skeptical when you're reading them.
Right.
It's only when you see the connection between what you're looking for and yourself that his books begin to make sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been reading this one again, Path to Perfection.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And Krishna actually recently, Ramachandra, you want to go soon? Krishna.
No, I don't have to go anywhere.
Oh, okay,
you can ask
Jai.
any.
I was gonna say Krishna had afforded me with this new job because I was unemployed because of the COVID thing for quite a while, and now I can chant and read Prabhupada's books at work.
Wow.
Yeah,
Well,
like I work at a call center to call people to book them to do taste tests for like candy bars and things like this, and the second the call hangs up, it's like, boom. It's great.
Yeah, but aren't you obliged to take one call after another?
No, it's like I don't do the dialing. Everything's automated. So I just sit there, put this little headset on, and then it does it. If somebody picks up, I talk. If they don't pick up, I keep reading. And here, hold on.
That's similar to becoming a security guard.
I started in the middle of November, and I've already gotten through all these again.
Wow.
Science of Self-Realization, Life Comes from Life, Light of the Bhagavata, Sri Upanishad, Easy Journey Beyond Birth and Death.
See,
and then
but he cannot call you, but I can call you anytime.
What's that?
No, I'm saying Daniel cannot call. Daniel, can you call people while you're doing your job?
Oh, no, they like on the phone, like a personal phone call?
Yeah.
No. They like they don't want the cell phone out, so it's like even more Krishna's it's even more Krishna's mercy.
Right. You got the books, so why do you need a cell phone?
No, exactly. The only thing I do with my phone is like I would see something and then like look up another verse and be like, where did Prabhupada's talking about this Purana or whatever, and then like I'd look that up like that. But other than that, you don't need the phone.
Jai.
That's amazing. It's a rare pleasure to meet you, Prabhu, Daniel.
Jai, Prabhu, thank you. I mean, this is mercy.
You're highly intelligent, well-motivated, good-hearted, and that's very nice. And I thank Donavir for having been a good influence with you. Did you know that I was in charge of a group of people training people to preach in New York, and Donovan was one of the people that was my top students.
Okay. This before he went to Israel and all that?
Israel. I'm talking this was in 1973 or 4.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Donovan Maharaj, he went to Israel preaching after that, and he got stuck there, and he had to join the army.
Really?
Yeah.
Was he still married?
I don't think so. He wrote a book. It's called "If Attacked, I'll Chant Hare Krishna," and it's about when he was he got drafted in the Israeli army.
How interesting. But
It's
he's not Jewish.
What's that?
He's not Jewish, as far as I know.
it was because he's not a citizen, and then there was like some civil war or something like this. It didn't matter if you were in that country and you were a male between X amount of age. You
Yeah.
had to go.
Well, that's a good idea.
Yeah, he got drafted, and then he wrote the book about it, and I guess he had told them, "Hey, I took vows. I have to perform Mangal Arti at 4:30 in the morning. I can only take vegetarian food stuffs like this." And he had orchestrated everything to where the army was actually, he was doing the temple program.
Yeah, that's what I think. The Israelis have a much more, because the Israelis came out of a desire to become farmers and colonize that part of the country. They did not take the very brutal way that the Europeans did towards military stuff, where they're attacking other people or trying to win a war, stuff like that. It's that they were simply trying to defend themselves, so they're very much more humanitarian when it came to those things, I feel. Well, that's interesting.
That's what started it. I had some home programs. I was fortunate enough to cook prasad for the devotees, and Danavir Maharaj. That was a lot of mercy.
I think Danavir Maharaj is not so bad. I mean, in the renowned story, there are much worse people than him. I think he follows the regulated principles very strictly, and he does all the programs.
Very austere. Very austere. Like simple living.
When I knew him, he had an absolutely wonderful, warm-hearted, loving, and lovely wife. What happened to his wife?
I have no idea. To be fair, I didn't know that he was ever married.
Maybe the sannyas bug bit him too. You think so?
What?
Maybe the sannyas bug bit him too.
Yeah, there's
Well, that's very probable.
The Vaishnav Society magazine with the cover remembering TKG. So I don't know.
Huh?
TKG?
Tamal
Krishna.
Yeah, there's the Vaishnav Society magazine. One of the issues was the cover page was remembering TKG. They put TKG too. It didn't say Tamal Krishna Goswami. It said TKG.
Did they mention that he was married?
No. Oh wait, for some reason I always knew he was married after I had heard about the accident when he had left his body.
What do you know about that?
He was sannyas and he was married, yeah.
Well, he was sannyas before he was married.
Oh, he got married while he was a sannyasi?
No, beforehand.
Okay, he was married when he stayed married while he was a sannyasi. This I don't know.
No. He gave up marriage to become a sannyasi.
Okay.
Just like any regular householder wanting to be a sannyasi.
No, I didn't know if there was some crazy exception. I was like, what?
No.
Nothing like that.
All right, well.
It was all straightforward stuff.
No, I know the stories of like these like epic Vyasasans brought in and all kinds of like crazy puffed up behavior. These are some of the things.
What epic Vyasasans?
There was a Vyasasan that he had put in. I don't remember where the article I was reading, and like I forget they wanted to take out they weren't going to take out Prabhupada's Murti, but they brought in a different Vyasasan that was higher. And then I'll have to find out where this is from.
Who was supposed to sit on the Vyasasan?
Tamal Krishna Goswami.
Higher than Prabhupada?
Yeah. I'll have to find this. Because like I've always got like 20 pages open on Chrome reading things. In addition
of course.
Books. But
Now, what about Tamal Krishna's death? What do you know about where he was, how he was? What?
it was in what my limited information that I know is that it was in a car. It was in India, and I don't remember where they were going.
Oh, yeah, he was in Mayapur. I think leaving Mayapur, or maybe going to Mayapur, but with a householder couple, another person, and the driver and himself. He was in the front seat of the car, and he was driving driving, and the taxi driver. He was a taxi driver. I think he was a taxi, maybe even limo driver. Got in a crash, and he didn't die, but Tamal died. The householder couple died, and one other person didn't die.
Taxi driver.
But I was hoping you knew something about why he died in the car crash.
No.
I'd like to read a comment online now. Can I?
Oh, you had a bunch of comments you wanted to read.
Oh yeah, I think I'll do that tomorrow. Those other ones. It's getting late now. I think it's 11:06 for Boo. We'll continue tomorrow then. So I'll read one comment.
Sure.
It's saying from Rahul Sharma, Hare Krishna, thank you for this wonderful session.
This one?
Yeah.
This one or a
It's like-
different one?
This one. It's talking about this
Oh,
one.
really? How good.
Yeah.
Let's keep on going. I don't see any impulse to down or quit whatsoever, but only to go more.
Jai. So you wanna continue tomorrow?
Sure.
Or now? I think it's too
Continue.
late for now. Tomorrow, right?
I'll continue what? More comments?
No. Comments tomorrow. Or do you want it
Yeah.
now?
No, tomorrow. But did I
Okay.
tell you about the dream I had
No.
in San Francisco? This is many, many years ago. When Prabhupada was still with us. I was riding I think probably a Triumph or Harley Davidson motorcycle on the beach, not on the beach,
Right.
but on a road near the beach. And it had gravel on it, paved road, but gravel, and it's dangerous because when you have a motorcycle, it can suddenly, if you accelerate, skid out and throw you down on the ground. And
Right.
The only recourse is to swing your leg on top and sit it down like a bull. So in a rodeo. So I was riding this motorcycle and I was going extremely fast, probably 90 miles an hour at least. And it was risky as anything, and the gravel on the road was really, very dangerous. And it was foggy. It was San Francisco. It was foggy, almost raining, but there was no drops of water, just very wet fog on you at the time, which also made it hard to see where I was going at that speed. And someone was on the back of my motorcycle as a passenger, and they kept on tapping sort of like reaching up, pulling on my sleeve, on my shoulder. And the last thing I wanted was anyone pulling on my sleeve while I'm driving that fast in such risky conditions. And it's wet, and that's worse yet. And I turned, and I knew all along who it was. It was Prabhupada. It was on the back of my motorcycle in the dream. And I looked, I tried to, he wanted to convey something to me, but I didn't want to turn my head backwards because I figured I'd crash the motorcycle, So he had his clothes on, the robe and the swami hat and the shawl and chadar, all these things, different layers of cloth. And it was all flapping in the wind. It was just blowing in the wind. And Prabhupada kept on tapping on my shoulder and insisting that I hear him.
Right.
And I couldn't see how I could hear him. It was too risky. So I turned and he leaned way forward so that he was talking practically next to my head or face. And I turned and there he was. And all I could hear him say was one word repeated, faster, faster, faster. So when you were saying those nice things about me, I was thinking, faster. Now we got to go faster. Let's go faster. Daniel, you want to go faster with us?
Let's go.
Yakan didn't come on board, huh? Marco didn't come on?
No, no, probably tomorrow. Yeah, this is a spontaneous kind of thing, whoever joins.
Yeah, it's great. So faster. Let's make it so fast and we don't get in a crash.
Sounds good, Prabhu.
Jai.
Okay.
Bo.
Daniel, I'm totally impressed with you, who you are, who you've been, and I'm deeply and more impressively impressed by who you are becoming right now.
Thanks, Prabhu. Thank you.
Are you ready?
Hare Krishna.
Jai.
Dan?
Yeah.
Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready for faster?
Let's go.
Yeah,
Let's go.
we're going. This is